Hey, everybody, welcome back to Faith by Fire, the space where real stories meet real faith, and where we talk about God who steps into the middle of our mess and brings beauty out of ashes. I'm Haley, and we have Grace and our special guest today, Katie. And today you guys are gonna want to lean in a little bit because our guest is going to be sharing their testimony. And it's going to be just a living, breathing reminder that God still rescues, God restores, and answers prayers in ways that leave us speechless. They've walked through a lot of brokenness and seasons where hope felt far away. But not only has He brought healing and freedom, but He's opened doors for new purpose, a new business, family, and a life that looks nothing like what they were pulled from or what they walked. So today's conversation is going to be raw, real, and full of redemption. So let's get started. I want to first thank you so much for being here and for being willing to share your story. I know that testimonies take a lot of courage, and we are super honored to hold space for it today. Let's start at the beginning. For those who don't know you yet, do you want to take us back a little bit? So maybe what life was like before addiction took hold on in your life.
Of course I can. And I just want to say thank you, girls, for having me and allowing me to share my testimony, because I do think it is important to share how God works in so many ways through so many people. So again, my name is Caitlyn. I do go by Katie back in the day. And so my life started out, well, I was a good kid. I played sports. I was going to college for teaching. I wanted to be a teacher. I felt very passionate about children and, instilling, education, right? And in our future. And that's kind of where my story took off. I was in college and stressed out and unable to continue my college degree. And it sat so heavy with me that I started seeking destruction. And that eventually led to me being completely spiritually, emotionally, and financially bankrupt. And that's where I kind of found myself questioning life in general, of just, am I supposed to be here, and continue.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like maybe there was a moment that you realized things maybe were shifting in a direction that you didn't want to, or maybe you couldn't control anymore during all of that?
Definitely. I had a child, and it came to the point in my life where my child and my husband, I knew that I was either going to die or or they would leave me. So it was kind of like, are you willing to lose everything to stay bankrupt and to stay empty? And I remember I lived in Vegas at this time. I moved away to Vegas, and this was through addiction. I left Ohio and tried to start fresh and, but I'm sure you guys have heard, you take yourself with you. You take your problems with you. You can't run from them, right? So I remember being just at my wit's end with trying to get myself and my life together. And I was staring up the sky in Vegas, and I was just like, God, please, please, please help me. I just don't want to do this anymore. Right. And there was a sense of awareness that it was me holding myself back. Right. It was me not allowing myself to progress. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could give another addict, the exact words, the exact feeling and things like that changed. But there was something, a spiritual awakening, if you will, of just God taking the obsession and the compulsion away, to where I was willing to do anything and everything to keep myself busy and to keep myself out of harm's way anymore. And the more that I sought it, the more that I trusted that, the more that I prayed. Right. I leaned in and I would pray in times of unassurance, right? Of being fearful, all of those things. I pray a lot in my car. I'm in my car right now.
Yes.
That's a lot of my stuff. I do go to church, but I will say that I think me and God have more of an understanding in my car than anywhere else.
Yeah, sometimes it's the places that you can only get your quiet time, the shower, the car,
The quiet time, and if you can't find your quiet time, it's like sometimes I'll just turn like worship music on and I'll just like make it so loud to like drown out everything else, like the screaming kids and everything. And I'm like, if I can't make time, then if this is what I have to do to find the time, then I'm just gonna do it. Because if I can even just be able to worship, like, I just feel like your spirit,
Get
it
that
lines up with
feeling.
your spirit. And if you just, try to meet him halfway, he'll make, every circumstance or whatever situation you're in, he'll bring the peace.
He
So,
paves the way. Yes.
That is
yeah,
so
for sure.
good. Now, like, I know, like, you talked about, you just like you hit a point. Like, do you remember what that point was for you? Like, what do you remember that moment? Like, I guess that exact moment whenever you're like, okay, something's got to change.
Well, again, looking up at the sky and in Vegas, there's not many stars, so I didn't really feel like a super nature connection, but it was more
Mm-hmm.
just looking up to higher, right? The higher power. And I was just like, okay, like I need to make a decision. And then that next morning, I walked myself into a facility and checked into a addiction center in Vegas, and I just remember telling myself like this has to be it.
Right.
Either I make it or I don't, right? And I remember going in there thinking, not having the confidence, right? I didn't have the faith and confidence at that point because again, I was spiritually bankrupt. I had nothing left to give and
Mm-hmm.
nothing left to offer. Um I felt very, I know that I would walk around constantly and see other women, and I'd be like, I bet they're not addicted. I bet they don't have to deal with the
Right.
shame and the guilt of looking in the mirror every day and just knowing you're not being everything that you
Yeah.
could be, and just losing your whole self identity.
Yeah.
It's just awful. I have so much, I feel for those people that are still stuck in those situations because it is
Yeah.
awful and it is definitely evil stuff, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of more strength than you think it does to be able to like
Yeah.
bring yourself to a place to do that. So like I give you so much like kudos for that. And like, it is really easy to I feel like condemn yourself and compare yourself,
And
especially
have
with
that
people.
shame.
Yeah. So
Mm.
like
Yeah.
totally get that. Like I also feel like so you said you moved to Vegas. Like, obviously has to be like a big cultural difference. Do you feel like you had access to more stuff out there or like did you like
Well, I will say that I wouldn't say more access because I had plenty here. I had
well,
too
I mean,
many.
like you have like your acquaintances here, but like I've also heard stories about like you know what I mean, but like it's a lot easier like it's a totally different ballpark out there, you know what I mean?
It is.
Like
And I'll tell you, that is why I'm back now, right? That is
yeah.
why I find myself back in Ohio because I left to get away. I left to restart my life, and I did meet my husband. I had my daughter, and as I was in addiction, I knew this was not where I was meant to be because I didn't have family. I didn't have my connection, my
Right.
community. There is no community in Vegas. Like I'm sorry if anybody's out there and you love it there, that's great. But for me, I could not make community out there like I can here or like I
Right.
did.
Right.
So I was willing. God put that in me that he was like, you need to be willing to leave everything and lose it all. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how I felt is that I was just like, I'm willing to risk it all. I went
Just
and checked
trust him.
myself in. Yep, I got clean. I stayed clean, and then we moved. And I even gave my husband the choice. I was like, "Do you want to come with us or not?" But I need to go, and I was willing to
Yeah.
lose him, and that was hard because he's all I had out there. I didn't
Yeah.
have friends or family. Um, and I was just so alone, right? And I was just so it was during COVID, so we were stuck in the house. It was just me and my daughter constantly.
Yeah.
And I knew that that was not where I knew I wasn't the mom that she deserved and that I could be. And so that was just something that I knew that I grew up here and felt something here. I felt community and love and togetherness and small town, right? I just, there's nothing
Yeah.
like it. Small town, Ohio. So I said, you know
Yeah.
what? Let's just go back and try it again. And it was the best decision. I mean, God did not
Yeah.
disappoint.
So how has God reshaped your identity since coming out of addiction?
So that is a very great question in so many ways. Like I was thinking that the people in Vegas probably wouldn't know me today just because of how much I have changed in just a matter of a couple years. I will say that he's shown me so much strength, and he continuously his love, right? His love, I just, everything that I do, I try to do with God's love of just not judging others and being humbled and things like that. I just like your podcast is named Faith by Fire. I truly believe that faith is being in that fire, being scared,
Yeah.
not knowing what's on the other side and when you're going to get out. And sometimes
Yeah.
I think that's what it took. It shaped me, just my spirit, right? It has just completely put my spirit on fire, and I can talk to people. I can look at people in the eye again, right? I can be a good mom. And, he's brought me so many blessings that have shaped me now. I run a childcare business. And my main thing is when you guys were asking me earlier, like, was there a turning point? And I remember praying to God, and I was like, look, if I'm meant to be here, please open this door and I will be brave enough to walk through it. I promised him, right? I was like,
Yes.
I promise you I will walk through that door if you open it. And I kid you not, girls, within a week, just a week of that time, I had a building a block away from my house go for rent. And I had a lady who was a hoarder of preschool and childcare stuff lose her building and need to get rid of everything. And, I mean, just things just kept coming that I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even like aware of. Like, it just is amazing to me how much he is present
Mm-hmm.
even when I'm unaware that things are moving.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, isn't it? How things just start to fall into place. Like just one little
Yeah.
like act of like obedience, and it takes you so far. And it just, I mean,
Yeah,
it opens doors, and it just makes you realize, I guess, like what you've been missing. But so you were talking about like your business, and so I guess like maybe we can transition into like like your life today, and like how you've stepped in. I mean, you talked about a little bit how you stepped into, opening that business, and, it's
yeah,
sort of like a new purpose, like a new chapter. And you just want to tell us a little bit
100%.
more about that vision, and how,
I,
what's to come.
I would love to, because I feel that again, when God opened these doors to me, it was another promise that I would shine his love on everyone that I could and share my story to anyone that would listen, right? Of just being a testimony to him and his power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I get emotional talking about it because it was emotional. It still is emotional to me. Even driving today, like there are times where I just get teary eyed of like, I'm so grateful for the second chance at life, of living, of feeling peace, love, and
Yeah.
joy daily and not feeling so empty and lost. My business with children, I try desperately to make that going back to basics of just being in our roots, having community pride. I'm huge on. I'm starting a community garden because I believe that the earth should be respected, right? And that God put things here for us to thrive off of. And we've
Mm-hmm.
lost that. So my
Yeah.
goal is to have some of these kids learn some of these things again and get in touch with how to grow, put your hands in the soil, how to feel connected to the earth, because earth is God, right? Like all of this is just pure life. And I think it is so important. And I try to promise him that on a daily basis of how I do business, how I work with the community. I try to volunteer. I'm actually volunteering with our church Easter egg hunt on Saturday. So there are so many things that I think people have lost, especially in today's world. It is you don't even know what to believe anymore
Mm-hmm.
out there. And I know
Yeah.
that it's a lot of the evil work. And unfortunately, some people struggle with God and Satan, right? And I try to look at it as a yin and yang. Like there's a black and a white side to things. And I am so grateful to be on the light. In the light.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. It sounds like you're doing
Yeah,
a
for
lot of
sure.
amazing things, and you're giving back, and I think that's so cool. I'm
Thank
really
you.
proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what is your, so is it like a daycare, like a child care daycare kind of thing? So what is your guys' the name of your business, and like where is it located, just for our listeners out there?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't mention it. So
No, it's
it's actually called Next Gen for Next Generation.
okay.
And it's all one word, Next Gen Activity and Care Center. We're located in Mount Sterling, Ohio, which is where I moved from Vegas. I lived a little bit in Columbus while I was getting our things together, jobs and all of that. But that was where me and my husband found a home and decided to kind of start putting our roots down and really building a village, because I believe it takes a village. And,
Oh, for
I
sure.
will
Yeah.
say that, right? And I will say that from doing this, I've been doing this now a year and 7 months, I believe. And it's such a wonderful feeling that some of my kids now have expressed wanting to go to church. Some of my parents hearing my testimony, hearing my story, and seeing whom I am genuinely now as a person. They've said, like, what church do you go to? Like, we've had those discussions of religion and deep things, even though it's a business, because I don't believe in corporate business. I think that they've taken all of humanity out of it, and that's not what humans are. We're supposed to connect to each other. We're supposed to uplift each other, support. And so that's just what I continuously try to stand up every day and do, and be a beacon of light and showing people that there is a brighter, better day. And do I have hard days? Of course, right? Do I have scary days? I mean, there are
Yeah.
some days where I'm like, God, I don't know. I don't know what you want. I don't know. I have nothing else to give. And then something will happen. And you're like, seriously? All right. Yeah, that was my bad.
He always comes through though. He always does, and it never fails. It's
Yes, I
amazing how
will
God
say
always works.
I can't agree with you more, because in addiction, they have step work, right? And working one of the steps, I remember they asked you a question like, was there a time where things could have gone wrong and didn't, or this and that? And I was in addiction for almost 14 years, I believe. Within those 14 years, I have no arrests, I have no overdoses. Like, God had his hand on me and kept me out of the deepest, darkest places that I could have gone easily. And I know that
Yeah.
he was saving me. He was guiding
Yeah.
me even when I was lost and in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I found my way out, and
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful.
Now, did you have any foundation before your addiction, or like, I know for us, I know like we had a little bit, but not much. But I feel like, if you have like a praying grandma or something, that somebody that stood in the gap for you, there's always
Yeah.
that God puts somebody in your path to pray for you. And I feel like God knows exactly what you need, because he knows, like, he's the only one that knows like what we will go through. And so I do, feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but did you have like a praying grandma or anybody with foundation or?
So I was actually raised Catholic, where we would, go and do the practices. I had First Communion, all of that stuff. And the older I got, the more lost that I got in the Catholic religion personally. There were some things that just didn't resonate with me. And then the older
Mhm.
I got, I knew of God, right? So from being raised Catholic, and I started to make my own consensus of what God was. And in addiction, they say, well, if you don't want to say God, just find a higher power. What's your higher power? And my higher power is love. I believe love will conquer all. And the more that I dove deeper into that, the more God's love came through, the more that it
Yeah,
became more of a faith of, I believe
yeah,
that there is a higher being and that he has work. And so my grandmother was, when I was in the, still lost and not sure how to fix my life, she always would do, I think I have it with me, if you bear with me 2 seconds, I keep it with me, but she does this prayer, and it's the prayer to St. Jude for all of the lost souls, for hopeless
mhm,
cases, right? And she would always do her hopeless cases prayer for me. And my grandma was just my saving grace and my family. She always looked at me like I was something special, and I never felt like I was something special. And she
Yeah.
actually passed away like a month ago, and it's been
Oh, wow.
hard. Yeah, and I think my faith, a lot of people are like, I don't know, some people go through a lot of grief, a lot of heavy
Yeah.
hurt when you lose someone.
Mhm.
And really, my faith has brought me to a place where I think so highly of that woman and the
Mhm.
life that she gave me, the childhood that she gave me, that I can be at peace with her not with me, because ever since she passed, my business has been thriving even more. Blessings have been coming to me left and right. We just started a fitness class because I believe in health and wellness and all of those things that are just falling into my lap. And I believe she's up there with God, just helping me out. And
Yeah,
I'm so
absolutely.
grateful, so grateful.
She's your guardian angel. That's awesome.
She is.
Yes,
She
it's
is.
amazing.
I love that so much. So, I mean, like you mentioned like answered prayers, and I know listeners love hearing like those moments because I feel like it builds, like maybe it helps like build their own faith. Like, what is one prayer that God answered in a way that still like blows your mind? You know what I mean? Like, what's one prayer that you were just like, I, I can't. I know you said like the daycare just falling into your lap, but like, like, is there one that stands out besides that you're just like, oh my goodness?
Well, I mean, I could tell you so many. I really could, Haley. I got one for you today. So just today, I have been praying and praying to God because I run a full day summer camp as well at our childcare facility, and I love doing it. And last year, I was able to only have 5 kids to where we could take field trips. Well, this year I'm hoping and praying for 9 or 12. I'll take whatever the universe and God are willing to put in my path. But I'm like, if I have that many kids, I can't fit them in my car. So, God, I need transportation. I don't know what to do. And I've been searching and, trying to control, right? And
Yeah.
I had a moment yesterday where I was just like, okay, I need to just take a moment. And I kid you not, ladies, I had a phone call from a new aquatic center coming in Grove City. And I was like, do you guys by chance have transportation, for your swim lessons? And he said, yes, we do. We have a small bus. And I said, would you be willing to possibly, partner with me, and I rent your bus out once a week in the summertime? You get the free advertisement of going to these COSI, the zoo, and he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And it just came to me.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it was amazing. I was just like, I've been so stressed out, and I'm like, just crazy that a phone call of just something random
Hmm.
coming to me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like how easy was that? And I have been like racking my brain for months on how to fix this problem. Do I buy a bus?
Yeah.
I don't have money for that. And so I was just like, God, if this is going to happen, like I don't know how I can make it happen. And here you go, that he made it happen somehow, some way.
That's amazing.
It was just amazing. It really was. I
Yeah.
had to call my mom, my husband. I was calling everybody this morning,
Yeah.
like, you'll never guess what happened.
That's
That
so
takes me, so I know that takes me to the verse. I think it's in Proverbs. I think it's chapter 3, and it's where it says, "Trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding." And I feel like that
Mm,
really goes, with what, your situation
yes.
was. And so it really, that in itself just reminds you that, we can't be in control of things, but God will
Mm,
always come through if we, take our hands off of it and just allow Him to do, what only He can do. And so just in that is a testament in itself. So that's amazing.
hmm
it's so hard. It is so hard because I am a control. I love to, just make sure that I know what's going on. I know how it's going to go. And so it has been one of my biggest struggles, I would say, especially running a business. You try so hard to push something, but I'm telling you, when God gave me this idea in my head, I never in a million years would have put money or put it on my bingo card that it would have happened, and that it's creating itself right in front of my eyes. It is seriously the most special, awesome thing. And I tell God, like, if it is not meant to be forever, right? Like, I'm okay with that. but this
Yeah.
experience has been life changing, and I will continue to share it with whoever is willing to hear that how he has changed everything in my life.
I love that.
That's
I love
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
Just cherish the season that you're in. That's sort of what
Yes.
came to me there. Yeah. I love that.
I believe he's bringing me here for a reason, whether it's to stay, right? It might be for a blip, a moment in time.
Yep.
I hope and pray that it continues, but I know that he didn't bring all of this to me for nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
know that.
Yes,
I
of
know that.
course. It's never without purpose. That's for sure. I feel like
Yes.
everything that we walk through is with purpose. You know, we're being refined in it. And if we're just obedient to what he wants us to do, he pours out the blessings. And so
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
feel like, this is in this season, like God is doing that for you. And that's amazing. It really is. God can do anything. So
I
yeah, it's an
think, yeah,
I
I
amazing
think
believe
story.
that.
it's true in this place to be somebody's person, whether it be those kids
Yeah.
or, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
parent that comes through or something. And it sounds like you're reaching so many people, and that's so amazing. And, hopefully today, our, this episode will reach somebody, and, you'll just keep growing and thriving. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What would
that's
you
all
s-
I continue to pray. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's all I hope for and continue to pray for is that God allows me to continue sharing the blessings and letting people know that there is a better, easier, just more comforting way to
Mm-hmm.
live. And am I perfect? By no means am I perfect, but I will stand by God given the chance.
I'm right there with you, girl.
That's good. I love that. If your story could reach one person who needs it, what would you want them to take away from it?
Don't give up. I think one of the sayings that I would say in the 14 years of just being lost, I heard it one time and it just stuck with me. If there is still breath in you, then there is still a chance, right? As long as we are living and breathing, there is still a chance for us. So don't give up.
Yes,
I mean, you're a
that's
testimony of
good.
that. You really are.
Thank you.
That you really are. And it sounds like you have a very supportive family too. It sounds like you have a really amazing husband that stood by your side, and like you said, you came back here for more support and community. So it sounds like you have a really, really good, backbone there. That's very important too.
And that
Yeah, for
was
sure.
another blessing from God because I never in a million years would have thought that this man would love me the way that he does and just, I mean, support me the way that he does. I mean, I haven't been paid in a year and 7 months, right? And he has just been every step of the way. What do you need? How can I help you? And it's so foreign to me. I've never
Yeah,
experienced something like that. So there is a bird in your ear that's like, is this real? Is this serious? Like, can this be true? Because I am not the perfect woman, but he sees me as perfect, just like my grandma looked at me like there was something special. And I just hold on to that. I'm so grateful that God blessed me. I remember being younger and just like, God, I hope you bring someone to me that makes me laugh and makes me happy. And I laugh from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for
that's
that as well.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a blessing for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't have any more questions for you. Is there like anything that like anything else that you would like to like speak on or touch base on, or you any words of wisdom that you have?
Oh man, I don't consider myself wisdom. My gray hair is coming in a little bit, but but honestly, start small. You don't have to go to church and dive in, but if you're questioning, when you start those thoughts and those processes, just pray. And praying is just
Mm-hmm.
talking to a
Yeah,
friend. I mean, sometimes I'm crying, I'm yelling at the windshield, and I kid you not, sometimes I feel that God talks to me through my radio. Like sometimes a song I'll
yeah,
be talking like I'm really upset about this and I'm not happy how this is turning out. And the song that comes on, I cannot help but laugh like, okay,
Yep.
heard,
he shows up
understood.
in every circumstance, every situation. He shows up, and it's so funny because it's like it never fails, and it doesn't matter how he shows up, but he does. And
Yeah.
that amazes me. Like he works in all these different ways. And so that's
Yes.
really funny that you say that. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
What? That's amazing.
so first off, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and
Yes.
you know,
Thank you.
sharing just a little bit of your story and just a glimpse into, you know, your walk. I know there's probably so much more for you to share, and maybe we can have you back on again sometime soon. We would love that.
Yes.
Anytime.
I think that today was a very powerful reminder that God is still in the business of rescuing and restoring and just
Yes.
rewriting stories. And I think if today's testimony spoke to any of our listeners, just hold on to this truth the same way, the God who lifted, you out of, you know, of this brokenness, he sees all of you guys as well. So he hears you and he's even when you can't see it, he's working. And we just have
Yeah.
to remember that. So
He gives us
thank you for
beauty for our
joining us today.
ashes.
Exactly. But thank you guys so much for joining us today on Faith by Fire. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who needs that hope today. And just remember, no matter what fire you're walking through, God is with you in it, and he's shaping something in you, and there's something beautiful on the other side. So until
Yeah.
next time, thanks guys.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me on. Thank you.